And we're live in three, two. Oh, yeah, that's right. We are coming at you live from Canada, from the US. We've got Grit and Grace TV coming at you. Lynn, it's been all week. I mean, I can't believe we actually went a week and a day. That sucks. It really sucks. Bad. I mean, I was going through Lynn withdrawals because I was like, I really want to do this show tonight. I have such an amazing a gift for you. I guess I wouldn't call it a gift. I guess you're the only one that can call it a gift, but I've got the prize planned for you here in just a couple minutes. But man, I'm sorry, guys. It was my fault. I was the reason why we didn't do a show last night. I had to go get some fluids pumped into me. I got a little dehydrated at work yesterday. And so, it is what it is. Sometimes medically, things don't always go as planned. So that's really what happened.
Yeah, but at least you're alive. I couldn't believe it when you messaged me and told me you were not doing well. I thought, oh my God, because I know how dangerous that can be. That's pretty nasty.
Yeah, and I've got a history of heat exhaustion and heat injuries anyways. And I know better. I know that once you've had heat exhaustion or heat cramps or things like that, it can hit you a lot easier. So even knowing that, I didn't take the proper precautions. I was drinking water after, when they say that water can in fact hurt you, they're absolutely right. Because I drank so much water, I drank 1.5 gallons of water. It depleted all the sodium in my body and it wasn't able to function correctly. It's basically what I was told.
Yeah, I guess it would dilute it, right? It would dilute the sodium in your system, but I was bummed we didn't do our show, but at least you're alive and you're okay. So I messaged you right away this morning, like, please tell me you're better. Like, because it can be dangerous. I mean, I've never experienced it myself, but I know it can be dangerous. So you got lots of well wishes on our Facebook page, and everybody. I was asking everybody to send you good vibes, good juju. So
yeah, and that is so awesome. So thank you very much to everybody who sent me your well wishes. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much. We don't know what we mean to other people until they voice their opinion. And there again, the crickets are coming back to haunt me. I'm just going to have to switch out my microphone altogether. However, I've got a surprise for you. I want to bring us into the show because you had mentioned something that you had something planned for the show. So you wanted to talk about something at the top of the show. So I wanted to do something special. I wanted to bring us in a different way. So I have a song that I want to sing to you.
Oh, you're going to sing?
I'm going to sing a song.
Okay.
Are we ready for the song? I see right now over here on one of those sides over there, actually, I see we have a couple of people watching. So bear with me. I'm not a professional songologist, if that's what they call them anymore, but I'm gonna give it my best. So
it's your debut. It's your debut.
Oh yeah, this is my worldwide live debut. Here we go.
Yeah,
I'm picking the song that Monty Python from Monty Python. So here we go. Isn't it awfully nice to have a penis? Isn't it frightfully good to have a dong? It's swell to have a sticky. It's divine to own a dick. From the tiniest little codger to the world's biggest prick. So 3 cheers for your Willie or John Thomas. Hooray for your one-eyed trouser snake. You piece of pork, your wife's best friend, your Percy or your cock. You can wrap it up in ribbons. You can slip it in your sock. But don't take it out in public or they'll stick you in the dock and you won't come back.
Oh my God. Oh, that's funny. That is so funny. Great job.
I figured I would bring it into, we had this conversation the other night about the penis. So I
Yeah.
figured, why not come into the show with a song about the penis?
Oh my God, that is good. Good job. Yeah, well, I messaged you about that, but I mean, so people aren't wondering that's,
Yeah, we
it
don't
was
stop
about
talking about penises all the time. It just happened to be an article.
yes. So there's an article, and we'll post it on the Facebook page. It's not posted. We didn't post it on there, did we? No, we'll post it on there after. No. So is this article about that? I think it's called My Penis and Me or something. And so I read this article and it like really affected me. So I messaged CJ right away. Like I was like really like I felt like I'd been kicked in the gut. And so here's the backstory. Our second show, about I don't know, 4 weeks ago, it was called Grace for the Win. And in that show, we had a question from a viewer, from a female viewer, wondering what men preferred in terms of landscaping. And that was a great show. If you didn't see it, you should go back and watch it because it was really good. But in answering that question, and you went through so much work polling guys and asking, it was really good. It was very interesting, very interesting. And so then you turned it on me and asked, okay, so from a woman's perspective, how do they view it? And so my response has always been, that is not the most attractive apparatus that you guys have. And so then reading this article a couple of days ago, I just happened to be reading it. And I guess it really, I don't know, it struck me at a certain time in reading this article about shame that men go through when it comes to their penises and how some of them really struggle. Like you read the article.
Yeah, I read it twice actually because I was struggling trying to find out where there's a problem, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And not that all men would struggle with that, but in reading that article, this woman interviewed talked to like 100 men, and they went through, a lot of them really struggled with that, with self-confidence and body shame and all of that. And when I read that just really struck me. And then it made me think about that episode and the comment I made. And, hey, Angela, yeah, it was a great article. And it just made me think about that. And I thought, my God, what if men were going around saying, breasts are really not attractive. Breasts are really ugly. I don't like or any female body part. I think that would be I look at my perspective, I'd be like, well, geez, thanks. I can't help it. Like I have boobs. Like, so when you look at it from a different perspective of men also deal with body shame. But men don't say anything. Men are the strong, quiet ones, and they take a lot of ribbing from women. There's the double standard on jokes. You'll see the memes, of some big guy in his Speedo, and women are sharing it, and they're laughing and they're making fun. And my God, if a man did that on social media for a woman that was overweight, you guys wouldn't survive. So there's that double standard, and I caught into that. I've never liked those memes, but I will make that comment about it's not the most attractive apparatus you guys have. And so that was like a slap in the face to me. It was like, Lynn, like you did that. Like you did that, not realizing that some men probably, struggle with that. And we know that because we read the article, and I thought, whoa, I just felt so, and I know there was a lot of guys watching that episode. For all I know, one of them, that is an issue for them. Maybe body confidence is an issue for them.
I think a lot of guys do struggle with that. and it doesn't matter whether they have what some people might consider big or small or fat or skinny. There's so many different ways that people get really insecure about what they have, and a lot of times guys will. I mean, when you're looking down from the view from the top, it is what it is. So it's not like it's like, oh yeah, there I am. It's kind of a weird perspective, and women have that outside perspective where they're looking straight on. So yeah, guys do get a little insecure. Especially when they're with a partner who's had other partners.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The question in their mind all the time is, do I match up? Do I measure up? Am I as big or am I smaller than her last? Is she happy with it? Is she satisfied?
Yeah. 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 And it just really opened my eyes. It was a real, like it just really grabbed me. And I got really emotional after I read it. And that's when I messaged you, right? So now it's been a couple of days, so I processed it, but it really slapped me in the face. I thought, oh my God, I did that. And men being as quiet as they are, I just thought, oh my God, I never want to do that. I never want to add to, because we all struggle with that. We all sometimes, it's our own process of dealing with our bodies and parts of ourselves that maybe we don't like or that we're working on and working through. I don't ever want to contribute to someone's struggle that they're already having. So anyway, that was the issue for me. So I apologize to all the men that were watching, to you, to anybody I've ever said, your package isn't attractive, because I love men. I love the whole package of you guys, and it includes your package. So I don't want to add to that at all. So that was a great article, and I shared it, and I think Angela she might have put it on our Facebook page below the video. So
put it on the comments. So thank you very much, Angela, for posting that.
Yeah,
I will find something here to send you. You get an empty CD sleeve. I'm going to send that to you for awesome. And sure, no, I'm just playing around. But anyways, to this month, June, is pretty much wedding month. I mean, you're starting now till the end of August. We are going to be kicking off the wedding season. And in honor of that, we picked June to kind of talk a little bit about relationships. So how about we get into that?
Let's get into that.
All right.
Let's jump right in. Yeah. So we thought, hey, we didn't ask everybody to share. Please share this video, because we want to, get the word out and help other people and be able to answer questions. And we would love, love, love if you would share this out right now. And we would love you forever. And I wouldn't send you an empty CD sleeve for it.
and I'm saying share it just because, well, I said share it.
Just because. He's so demanding. He's so demanding.
Demanding. I'm going to have to go play poker this weekend because I'm that demanding. I wouldn't do that. Maybe if you're watching, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go play poker. I promise. Oh, just kidding.
No, he's going to rest and recuperate. So, and have late night conversations. So we thought, let's kick it off with some things that we maybe don't talk about at the start of a relationship that maybe we should. Because you can find yourself later on in a relationship going, shit, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I think we should have talked about it a little bit. And, I think it depends on where you are. If you're young, I think it depends on where you are in life, whether you're older. I think if you're like our age, we've a lot of us, I think, have already been through one divorce, and we're on the second relationship. So I think things are a little bit different. We've evolved and we want different things when we're young. Um, it's kind of, we're not thinking about those things. We don't even really know who we are, and we get caught up in all of that stuff. So we thought it would be good to talk about some things that we think about, that we think you should talk about at the beginning of a relationship.
So where are we going to start? Do we start with money?
Sure, we can start with money.
All right, let's talk about money.
Because I think that is an important one.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's a big issue in couples. A big leader to divorce.
I know what everybody wants to hear, but I'm going to start small and we'll work into it. So
I knew you would. I knew you would. We're on the same.
So we're going to talk. Yes, we're going to talk about money first. And I'll be honest with you. I had a hard time talking about money with my wife before we got married. I didn't grow up in a family where money was really all that prevalent. So we didn't have a whole lot of education on what money is used for. We kind of put it on a pedestal, and that's what it was. So we didn't have that conversation.
No, we didn't. Yeah, and we didn't have a lot of that either. But yeah, I remember talking to you about that, and I think most people, they don't. Most families, I think it's a little bit different now. I know for myself, I talk to my son a lot about it, and a lot of my friends that have grandchildren talk about it a lot. But I think our generation, probably that wasn't really talked about. I think it was hidden, and I think there was a lot of those beliefs like money doesn't grow on trees, and those beliefs that come about from all of that. And I think it's so important because we have different styles, and there's some people that use money to fill that void in themselves. If they're feeling shitty about themselves, what do? They go shopping, right? They buy stuff.
I think that's a bigger problem than a lot of people admit. There's a lot of people that do that. They'll turn to shopping, or they'll turn to, whatever it is, maybe buying things for their friends. It could be, anything. Hey, let's go out for dinner. Next thing you know, they're just on a spending spree because it just makes them feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, when in my first marriage that we didn't talk about, I don't think we really talked about too much, but money wasn't one of the things that we talk about. Apparently it's the number one thing that leads to divorce. Yeah. I've been in that situation where you're eating a lot of pasta because you don't have the money. Yeah, it does add to it does create stress in a relationship. I think there's usually one that's the spender and one that's a saver. Is that like that for you guys?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. Unfortunately, in my family, we're both spenders. So that's an awkward conversation when, hey, what'd you spend this money on? I don't remember. So those are conversations that we need to have. We need to figure out why it is that we're doing what we do before we get in. Maybe you don't want to get into that where you're both a spender.
Yeah. Well, that'd be hard to for one to reel the other one in, right? Because you both want to spend.
Well, yeah, it is. And a lot of times it's not so much about reeling each other in. It's more or less about dealing with the stress of the problems it causes once you've already spent it. And that's where the problem lies. If she's a spender and you're a spender and I'm a spender, and we both go out and do our thing, next thing you know we got a bill coming up. We're trying to figure out how are we going to get that bill paid before this person or that person, or something gets shut off or whatever it is. So the stress that it causes actually is where the fight comes from. It's not about the money so much as the stress from not knowing how you're going to solve a problem when you don't have the means to solve that problem.
Yeah, it's not the money. It's the consequences that come about from how you deal with it, for sure. There's even some couples that compete to outspend, or you bought that, well, I'm going to go buy this. Not necessarily that they even really wanted it. It's like, fuck, well, you went and bought, I'm going to go out and buy something.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
dangerous stuff. Dangerous stuff. I think that conversation needs to happen is, are you a spender? Are you a saver? Like, what types of things do you like to buy? Like, I'm all for like treating yourself and getting that thing you've had your eye on. But like, you got to have that conversation of, do you like to save and then to buy that big thing? Or do you like to buy what you want whenever you want? Like, because you don't want it. That's not a fun conversation to have about money. It's not. It already causes so much anxiety, and that's not a conversation that you want. That it could be down the road. And if you are the person that likes to save and has goals for things when you save, and the other one is constantly spending, and you're like, we're never gonna like buy that house. We're never gonna, if you've got that spouse that's coming home with, look at the new bike I bought, or look at the boat I bought, but we're going to have so much fun. And you're like, yeah, but we're never going to go on that trip we talked about. We're never going to, I think having a good idea of what's your goals around what you want to do with your money is so important because.
And another thing, I know some people get really upset about this. If I told my wife that I wanted to have a separate bank account, for example, no joint accounts, I don't want to deal with that. You got to talk about that. You got to decide whether you're going to have a joint account or separate accounts. You have to talk about where the money's coming from and where it's actually going. If you work a job and she works a job, maybe she makes more money than you. Maybe you want to have some of that money going into your account because all the bills are coming out of your account. So there's things to really talk about when it comes to your financials. It's important to have that up front. I didn't have that conversation. We just went and we created a joint account, and then years later, some things happened where now she's being penalized because of some of the things that I had made mistakes to. So those are really things that you really have to take in consideration when you're starting that relationship and you're getting serious.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point. Good point. Because who's who's paying the bills, and what bills are you paying, and and what bills am I paying, and what, like, and I think back, so with my husband and I now, we don't have a joint account. We have our own accounts. We have it figured out to what he covers, and what he gives me some to pay stuff, and it works fine. I think way in the back we had talked about, let's get a joint account, but it just never came about. Now with my ex-husband, I think, how did that even come about? And how did that even work? But it did. We had a joint account, and that is still my bank account to this day, is a joint account with my ex-husband.
Wow, that's a lot of trouble. Is he off the account now, though?
No.
Oh, he's still on the account. So there's
and it's been like, I don't know, 16 years since we split. Yeah. He's still on there. I mean, yeah. I totally trust him. Totally, totally trust him. He's never done anything but it's to figure that out. I mean, that was our only account, was that account. And we paid bills out of it, and we spent out of it. And I think about that now, and it kind of gives me shivers, actually. I don't know how that worked, but it worked very well. And the other thing is, who is going to take care of that? Who's going to pay the bills? I've seen situations where, it's generally the woman who keeps track of the bills and pays the bills and does all that stuff and knows like whatever insurance you have and all that stuff. And I've seen it where, one passes away, the other one has no clue what they pay, where to find the information on it, anything. And I think, oh man, you've got to have that figured out because it's bad enough you'd be going through that, but then you have to figure out, well, what bills do we pay and how much is it and who do I need to contact? And that's some freaky shit. I've seen a lot of people go through that, and I'm the one that handles all the bills in the house as far as anything that doesn't come out automatically. Like my husband does the mortgage and the house insurance, and then I deal with everything else. He'd have no clue. So it's like, man, I better write this down. And I have life insurance, and he didn't know where it is or how much it is or anything like that. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, especially if you're a little bit later in life. Like, make a list.
So now that we touched on money, where do we go next? What are some other things that we should talk about?
Well, what do you think that let's talk about this, because we got a question about this. Career work. For some people, their career is really important to them. And we've got a question in about, what if you get a job offer somewhere and it requires you to move to a different country, to a different state, different province? What do you do? Like, what if you, CJ, that's a good one, Angela, that too. What if you got an amazing freaking offer? You were going to get double or at least 1.5 times of what you're making, but you had to move out of state. Like, what would that be like?
I've actually been in that situation, and what had happened is my wife and kids stayed here in Rapid City, and I went and worked in North Dakota. And I would come home about once every 2 or 3 months. I'd spend a weekend. I'd go back up and go to work.
Ooh, that's gonna be tough.
It is tough, but at the same time, you know that it's going for something better. You know you're taking care of your family and it's setting them up. So it's a give and take thing. And she supported me in that decision.
Yeah.
We had talked a few times about her just moving up there, but it just never really materialized. You never know. I was working in the oil industry, so we kind of had that thought in the back of our head. We got a boom now. What happens when it busts? We're going to be stuck in North Dakota. We're not, so we decided that we would do the commute thing. I would work there. She would live here.
That happens a lot here where I live. I have a lot of friends whose husbands work in camp. So they fly out and they're gone, anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, and then they come back home for a week. That's quite a big thing. But what if you got, what if you're across the country? I mean, how long can you go on commuting? What happens when you have to go across the country? What if you have that opportunity and your partner is, I don't want to leave. I'm not leaving. So Angela, my partners have always known I won't be living in Nanaimo after 41 years. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing too, right? I think that's a discussion to have. And it may be later on in life because like Angela and like other people I know, your children are here, your grandchildren are here, and you don't want to leave that. And I think it's an important discussion to have. Look, my career is very important to me. If I have an opportunity to move to Europe, because for some people that's the case, are you willing? Are you open? Like what would happen? And that's something that you have to have an idea about. And, what if it comes down the road 10, 15, 20 years later, and you have that opportunity? You've been waiting, you've been working for that opportunity, and it finally comes. And your partner's like, I don't want to do it. I can't. What do you do? what do you do? You've been waiting for that. And I think I've never been in that situation. I mean, I did move with my ex-husband. We did move because he went to school, but it wasn't that far. And we ended up coming back. But what do you do in that situation? I mean, we all have goals and these things that we want to do in life. And at the end of the day, in the end of our life, we want to know that we lived a life that we love. Is that going to kill you to sacrifice to not move ahead and take that position?
But we're also talking about a one-sided conversation, though. The other person, they may have just as many strong reasons for staying where they're at.
Oh, for sure. And that's why you should talk about it.
Absolutely. For us, my wife had her mother here. She was extremely sick. So moving her away from her mom. In fact, we moved from Texas to here for her mother. So it kind of goes the other way around also. And I left a great career as a underwater diver, as a commercial diver, so we can move to be closer to our family. So it goes both ways. It depends on what's important at that moment. And really, you have to be able to talk about those things. What ifs? I don't like to say what if, but every time I say there's no such thing as what if, there's only a what is. What if comes and bites me in the ass.
Yeah. So. I can't believe you were a freaking underwater diver. Every time you open your mouth, you amaze me. There's always something new that you've done.
Well, it's like I said, I love to experience life. If there's something that I want to do, I'm going to go after it. I am not going to let, you can experience life. You don't have to move all over the world to experience life. You can experience life anywhere at any time. And for me, that meant, moving down to Texas or moving back here to South Dakota, whatever it has been, it's always been a decision my wife and I have made together. It's never been, hey, I want to do this, come along. It's always been, hey, do you think we can make this work? So there's always that communication aspect. Her, me talking to her or her talking to me about what's important for the good of the family, not just the good of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and that's the whole thing, right? You got to talk about it and find what works for you. For some people, that just may not work. They just, right? But have that conversation for sure.
So now let's put the kids to bed.
You want to talk nasty now?
We're gonna get down and dirty. Oh, wait, that's not our show.
No, that's right. That ain't our show.
I had to throw a dig out there. My bad. Sorry, Scott. Anyways, I'm feeling feisty today. I just have.
Oh, good.
I just have this thing. I'm drinking a lot of water still, so I don't usually drink when I'm on camera, but I'm drinking a lot of water still because I'm not quite up to par yet, and because of that, I got a little feisty, and and I've been kind of waiting for this part of the conversation because I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Well, you can't get. Okay, I'll let you determine how X-rated the conversation's going to be.
It's not going to be pornographic by any means, but well, maybe
not like our private conversations.
Well, we'll see what happens and where this goes. So I'm going to just type in the title of this part of the segment, this part of the show. Let's talk about sex, baby. Yeah.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
See, we're all
singing the penis song.
We're all singing on the show tonight. Yes.
Oh, you are feisty tonight.
This should be a different show that I play around with. But no, here's the thing. That's the one thing that nobody does enough of. They don't talk about sex. And I'm not saying that because, it's the whole pornographic thing. You don't know what you're getting into when you're young and you're in lust for each other. You don't think about what it's going to be a year from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now. Those thoughts aren't in your mind. You don't know if maybe that person that you're with has had a history that maybe is preventing them from experiencing the type of sex that you want to experience with your partner. And at the same time, maybe there's something in your past that maybe you should talk to your spouse or your partner or whatever you want to call them. Maybe that's something you should talk to them about. So those conversations, they can be extremely awkward, and in most cases they are almost terrifying to have, but we got to have them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree because there's a lot of factors that come into that whole thing. There, like you said, there could be some trauma that happened. There could be child abuse. Maybe you were sexually abused as a child. Maybe you were raped later on. I mean, there's a lot of things. Body shame is a big thing. Absolutely. Or maybe, yeah, you definitely have to talk about it. I think you have to talk about what your expectations are. You know, like maybe you're a horny bugger and you like need it all the time. And maybe that other person is not somebody that maybe they have a lower sex drive than you. And, you know, at the beginning, sure, everybody's, you know, hot and bothered in the beginning. And even somebody that has naturally a low sex drive, maybe it's a little bit higher because you're in a new situation and, you know, you're attracted to that person. And then as time goes on, and you know, then they kind of go into their, you know, what their natural way.
Yeah. We get that routine down, you know.
Yeah.
This is the way they lay. This is the way they start. I mean, everything turns, you get complacent and things just whatever. And whose fault is it? Is it your fault as the man? Is it her fault as the woman? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've had that conversation before. It's like, well, you never try. I mean, it's like, I'm like, hey, I want to have sex. And she's like, well, you never try. Well, you never you never seem like you want to. Those are the types of things that people get into after time. But talking about it on a regular basis with each other, it will remove that weird, awkward feeling of, is it okay to try? Is it not okay to try? Healthy, open conversation about whatever it is that you're doing. Now, I will say the most awkward, you probably don't want to have the talk right after you have sex because that kind of gets a little weird. But I don't know.
I don't know. I think you could. I think that's kind of a good time because I think people are a little more receptive.
See,
because you got all the feel goods going on, so maybe people are a little bit more. But you said it's all miscommunication. Well, you didn't say that you did, but you didn't act like you wanted it, and I thought you were tired because you know. And so there's that miscommunication. So we assume what they're feeling and whether they're open. And, you know, you have to, I think that sex is sort of the, what's the word? It's like at the center of your relationship. That is the intimacy. I think that's one of the most important things in the relationship. I think that if that is good, the likelihood of surviving tough times in your relationship is way higher, way higher. And so I think that communication has to happen. Because if you don't match up in your sex drive, that is not good at all. If you want to try something. Yeah,
there are some pretty experimental people out there. And, you know, I think with age you get more experimental because you're always trying to find that way to just bring some excitement in. Try to change it up. You don't want to do the same thing over and over. Uh, People start watching porn together. They start sharing fantasies together. Problem is, when you start sharing fantasies with one another, people still have that fear, that fear of being able to tell their partner what exactly that they're fantasizing about. They're afraid they're going to be judged. Oh, they're going to think I'm weird or I'm some kind of pervert or some deviant or something, whatever it is.
It's like that Seinfeld episode. Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
Hated Seinfeld.
Oh,
Hated Seinfeld.
really? Ah. Well, there was the Seinfeld episode where Jerry was with this woman, and I think they came flying out of the bedroom, and she's like, "You're sick." And he's like, "What? What?" And he had said something to her. I can't remember what it was now. But yeah, I think there's that fear. Absolutely. I'm kind of curious. I want to try this. What do you think? But if there's that fear of that. And I think that's so important that to really be open and talk about that at the beginning of a relationship, because people are more open to talk. We're much more willing to ignore the red flags and be more accepting of flaws and things like that. So this is a great time to talk about that. Look, I'm very sexual. I have a high sex drive. I like to have sex a lot. That's how I feel connected. Sometimes I like to try this. And then, maybe you were a swinger in a past relationship and now you've met somebody new. There's so many things that you could do out there. And I think it's absolutely necessary. I know from experience that you need to have a handle on what is your sex life going to be like with your husband, partner, lover, whatever the case may be. Because I think that I see sex. Yeah, I know, right? A Seinfeld hater. How can that be?
I know. I'm sorry.
I think that is sex is so important and so linked. I believe that it is a spiritual connection between two people. And, it's got to be like copacetic. Like you've got to be on the same page with that.
But face it, most people would agree that it's the guy that usually says, "Hey, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that?" It's typically left up to the man to bring that out. I've seen a shift though. There is, because of certain books that are coming out and movies that I won't mention because they're not paying us to promo for them. There's books and movies coming out now that women are seeing, and they're saying, okay, they can be a little bit more bold in saying what they like or what they want. But for a long time, men, it's kind of been left up to them. And you leave it up to a guy, they're going to want one of three things. They're either going to want a blowjob, they're going to want anal sex, or they're going to want a threesome. Those are kind of like
these are your choices.
These are the default settings in I'd say probably 98% of men.
Oh, I agree. Yes, have been approached with all of those options, all of those choices. And yeah, absolutely. Yes, Angela. That's a good way to put it. And yeah, that's right. And I think there is a change. I think because society has it so much that you're not a lady if you talk about it. If you act like you enjoy it as a woman, that you are a slut or you're just trashy. And that has been the standard. And, it's the man that's sort of in charge or leads, and it's the woman that follows, and, but she doesn't ever talk about it. Women are the nastiest people. If you go and watch male strippers, I have never seen women behave the way they behave, but yet they could be the ones that say something about other women like, oh, well, she's just nasty. These women are nasty.
What's funny is my mother-in-law gave my wife the best advice any mother-in-law could ever give their daughter, and that was when we got married. I was sitting right next to her. She goes, "The way to keep your man is to be a freak in the sheets and a lady in the street." My jaw hit the floor. It was the first time I ever heard that, and I was like, "Mom, I love you."
No doubt, eh?
That was like, thank you for setting up my marriage for the rest of my life. I appreciate it.
Best
Those are,
mom-in-law in the world.
exactly. I, for that, just for that right there, if there was anything else that she could have done to make my life great, that was a thing that just kind of like, bing, it's gonna be perfect now for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that, well, we posted that article on our Facebook page about 3 things men want in the bedroom. And, it's really all women saying, taking the lead a little bit. And, we have a hard enough time knowing what we want sometimes. Why do we have to put that out there and expect other people or other partner or the guy? Now, we're speaking from a heterosexual standpoint because that's all CJ and I know. So that we're speaking from that standpoint. Or at least I'm assuming.
It can go either way. To be honest with you, it can really go in either way. It should never be left up to just one person all the time to come up with the ideas.
Yeah.
And it have to be something that you fantasize about over and over and over. It could be something right there in the moment. You feel the need that you want to try, or you just feel the urge you want to try something. Tell your partner, be vocal, let them know whether they're hitting that right spot or not. Let them, if you want to, move over here because you think this might hit that spot a little better. Whatever the case is, open up and just have fun. This is something that we do for reproduction. I get it. The church would have us think that that's the only reason why we should do it. But if that was the case, damn it shouldn't feel good. We want to be able to do this for fun too. And in order to have fun with it, we have to celebrate it with each other. We can't just have this little vanilla looking, this vanilla sex life, because that's no fun. After a while, it's no fun. People just stop. And there's no reason to stop. Right.
That's a good point. If it was just for reproduction, I don't think there would be any feelings or sensations. You would just do it and you would have children and that would be it. If, God gave us the urges for a reason. And I think that when you open up, you could open up a whole new world that maybe you never knew, and you just kind of went through the motions and just the regular stuff. But if one of you is thinking something, it's so important. You could be missing out on a whole new resurgence in your relationships, and you don't want to miss out on that. I mean, and that's like a strong connection. And I think for men aren't as emotional or as outwardly affectionate as women are. And I think that's an opportunity for men to show their emotion and their attachment and their feelings to their wife or partner, girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. And denying that, I think, I always say yes. Like, if you don't feel like it, say yes, because you're kind of shutting down your partner, and that's their opportunity for them to be close to you.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of reminded me of a story, and this is, just bear with me. I'm not going to use any names here, but this story does have a point, I promise. So I'm at a party one night, and a friend of ours, is me, my wife, and my sister sitting at this table, and a friend of ours come over, and we start talking, and he starts telling us about the thing that he wants to get a brand new Corvette. And he's all about getting a Corvette, right? I mean, it's an amazing car. I love Corvettes. I would probably go to the ends of the earth to have a Corvette. he went to his wife and he says, "I want this Corvette," and his wife says, "Absolutely, but there's something that I want to try." It's like, okay, what? He goes, she goes, "I want to buy a strap on it and use it on you." That was one of. Now the story wouldn't be finished right there. You would think that that would be okay. So he didn't get his Corvette. Well, about 3 weeks later, we go over to his house to play poker because he has a guy's poker night. And I don't think he remembered telling a few of us this story because as we're walking through the garage, what's sitting right there to the right hand side? Brand new Corvette. So he didn't actually say he did this, but it leaves you wondering.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The reason why I was telling that story is because it kind of gets back to that thing. I mean, when someone says, "Hey, I want to try this," I mean, are you going to be okay with it? It kind of comes back to that. How do other people perceive you? Now, if he did go through it, I'm not saying he did, but if he did go through with that, the act of what he did, him taking it from his wife, doesn't have any gay indications whatsoever. So when people talked about, "Oh yeah, that's just gay," or "That's just that," and that's the reason why a lot of people don't share their fantasies with people, is because they're afraid of that. "Oh, you're gay because you like that from your wife." No, if you're gay, that's a relationship. That's not the sex. That's the relationship. And I think people get that misunderstood. They take that relationship and they add it to the sex. They attach it to sex. And I think a lot of people have that problem being able to communicate with each other because of that attachment. What's your take on that?
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. It has nothing to do with the act. It's everything to do with the person you're attracted to and what the relationship is. And it's not the act at all. And yeah, I think that just like some women might not want to um, admit, and I hate using that word because it makes it seem like what they did was bad, but some of them won't want to say that, some won't say, "I don't masturbate." No, I don't masturbate. You know, that it's the same with that, right? On that hand, I think there's a lot of things that um, men wouldn't want to admit either. I think there's a lot more men than you think that would be curious about that or have tried it but would never ever say it.
Right.
And it's that's something that yeah, you definitely have to discuss with your partner. You could be missing out on a whole lot of things, but then the person that is an important thing to them, then they're being denied that opportunity as well. So
For sure.
communication, it's
Yeah,
essential.
absolutely. Communicate with each other, enjoy each other. That is the most important thing that I think we can take out of this. You have to be able to enjoy each other, not just what they do for you. He does dishes for you that night. Celebrate that moment. Maybe she goes and does your laundry for you. Celebrate that with her. Find some stupid reasons to celebrate what you do for each other. And I guarantee you will be having a whole lot more sex and you'll be having a whole lot more fun. Well,
Yeah.
we're coming up to the very end of the show. So where do we
We're gonna
want
have to talk about sex again.
we are going to be talking about sex probably a whole lot on this show because for some reason people seem to stick around and talk about that topic.
Well, we got a couple of interesting things that we'll bring up later because we are going to talk about things like communication and relationships and authenticity. We're going to talk about polyamory. We're going to talk about whether you should stay in your relationship or whether you should go. June is the month of relationships, and there's 5 Thursdays. Well, even though this show's on a Friday, but there's 5 different topics we're going to talk about this month. So yeah, come back, stick around. If you have questions you want to ask that you struggle with, chances are CJ or I have gone through it, or we both have, or we've had clients, because we're both coaches. So, we can give some input and some perspective on that because it is hard when you're, that was a bad pun, but when you're in the situation, you don't always necessarily see. So you can ask questions anonymously. We have that set up that way. If you go to our website, gritandgracetv.com, click on the Ask a Question tab, and you can ask anonymously, and we will get that, and we'll answer it on our show, because this show is to be honest and be real and cut through the crap and help people and start the conversation, because we both feel that sex being a big one of them in a relationship, that should be talked about more. What women want, what men want, what we can do together, and how valuable it is to a relationship. So join the conversation, right?
And yeah, absolutely. Join that conversation. Tell us what you think. Tell us, give your point of view. We love to hear your stories. Please send your stories in. You can also do that right there on the Facebook page. We want to create a community where everybody can be part of this Grit and Grace, not just us. We're bringing it to you this way just because we feel that we want to be able to share with you everything that we're doing. But we're not the only ones that can share. You can definitely share right there on the Facebook page as well. Be a thought leader. Go ahead, step up, stand out, and do what you got to do. We're all here doing this, having fun together.
Yeah, definitely. I agree wholeheartedly.
Oh, absolutely. But until next time, everybody, you don't have to be that perfect solution.
Stay wild.
Isn't it awfully nice to have a penis? Isn't it pretty good to have a dong? And a stiffy. And we're clear.